Well, meanwhile, Viktor Orbán has slammed the EU, saying its ongoing intervention in member states' elections is killing democracy in the bloc.
Democracy is dying in Europe because Brussels is directly interfering in national elections and supporting the federalist forces with money. Brussels is not upholding the treaties, it is betraying them. And this is happening now, ahead of the April elections here in Hungary as well.
Hungary, and in particular its Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, has been a major thorn in the neck for Europe, refusing to accept their anti-Russian policies and standing up for the interests of his country. A big problem for Europe. And the tactics to deal with that tend to usually be pretty much the same. Support the opposition, fan the flames of discontent from within, get a leader who will play by their rules. And this is what we seem to see unraveling in Hungary now, right before the elections. A local investigative journalist has been charged for spying after detailing the alleged communications of the Hungarian foreign minister. But who is he allegedly involved with, you may wonder?
If I understand correctly, there are suspicions or evidence that the Hungarian foreign minister was wiretapped. Do I understand correctly? So there is audio of this. The fire department needs to be called.
Coincidence or not, the European Commission activated its rapid response system in March, right before this story was made public. Also, right before the April election in Hungary, just to make sure you hear about their version of events. RSS is supposed to combat or silence potential Russian so-called disinformation campaigns, or what we call uncomfortable truths.
Under these rapid response systems, European Commission-approved fact-checkers are given the ability to make priority censorship requests in the weeks before and after major elections.
But this is nothing new. Let's just take a look. The European Commission activated the RSS ahead of the 2024 Moldovan presidential election as well. They even hosted a disinformation summit to teach locals how to regulate information online, all in the hopes that the country's pro-EU president would stay put. And she did. No one else had a chance, really, because of uneven access to voting. The majority of Moldovans living in the Transnistria enclave, for example, who tend to be pro-Russia, weren't even allowed to vote. Those living in Russia, which hosts around 500,000 Moldovans, got just a handful of polling stations. Same situation in 2025 for the parliamentary elections. The leaders of France, Germany, and Poland even visited Chisinau for the 34th anniversary of Moldova's independence, which they, of course, used to remind us all who's good and who's bad.
Let me explain. There's a big difference between the European Union and other countries. Moldova is already one step away from becoming an EU member, so interference by a country like France in our elections isn't considered external interference. Even when it comes to direct funding of political forces, we don't consider it a form of electoral corruption. It's normal for neighbors to care for each other and support the development of democracy.
Romania also got a taste of that neighborly love back in 2024 when presidential candidate Calin Georgescu won the first round of the presidential election. He was considered a frontrunner, but an inconvenient candidate for Europe. He was too traditional, too nationalistic, and didn't hate Russia. Something had to be done.
Following serious indications that foreign actors interfered in the Romanian presidential elections by using TikTok, we are now thoroughly investigating whether TikTok has violated the Digital Services Act by failing to tackle such risks. It should be crystal clear that in the EU, all online platforms, including TikTok, must be held accountable.
That's despite the fact that TikTok did not find any evidence of wrongdoing, and the case was closed, and Georgescu's fate was sealed.
I just want to be clear, you're saying that some European leaders and NATO officials came together to put pressure on the Romanian establishment to stop your campaign because they don't want peace.
Exactly. They need war, and they're looking only for war.
And they're not even shy about it. The truth does come out eventually, and it did in this case too. It just takes time.
Let's wait and see what happens, and for the time being, let's keep our cool and enforce our laws in Europe. We need to be aware of the risk that our laws may be circumvented, and that if they are not enforced, it could lead to interference. We did it in Romania. We will obviously have to do it, if necessary, in Germany.
But don't forget, it's not called meddling or interference. It's called neighborly love. That neighborly love also extends to Georgia. That was the case in 2024 when the Georgian parliament passed the third and final reading on the bill on foreign agents. It sparked massive protests in Tbilisi. Days before the presidential election, the European Parliament sent a delegation to meet with Georgia's pro-Western president. She ended up losing the election, but refused to step down, saying the election was rigged, of course, and Europeans couldn't accept it either.
We have to fight for freedom, justice, democracy every day. We have to defend democracy and freedom in our universities, in our business, in our family, in politics. That's why I would like to tell you this story. Don't give up. We are with you. Please go this extra mile towards a united Europe. We need you. Your place is in the very heart of Europe. That's why we are here.
Keep going against all odds, and who knows, these protests might turn into something more. And after all, it worked wonders for them in Ukraine.
They gave instructions on the Maidan. In our dialogue with Europeans, we say, we have facts. Counter them with other facts, not lies, not general statements, counter facts with facts. When we tell you that you're encouraging extremism, we prove it with videos and funding reports. We have proof how these people are funding extremism in our country. You talk to us with facts, and what you get is generalities, and often lies.
Facts for some, disinformation for others, depending on the country and who's in charge. And here we are again with Hungary getting ready to hold parliamentary elections next. The EU would love to see the current prime minister gone, replaced by someone who doesn't stand in the way of their plans. So get ready for an extra dash of Orbán loves Putin narrative, followed by the vote was rigged if he wins.